on the eighth day, God created Texas. So of course they're excited to be here. But once they get here, oh my gosh, the opportunity to just click and vibe is just phenomenal. Recently, I had the opportunity to have a friendly discussion with two agents from the state of Washington, and we went back and forth, a little friendly banter about which is the better state, Texas versus Washington, pros and cons. And if you have the great state of Texas on your radar, you're relocating here, we're here little snippets of things that you may need to know. Let's go.
People think of Seattle, they think of rain. And when they get there, they're like, oh, it doesn't rain every single day.
Yeah. What about for you over there?
Well, for me over here in the great state of Texas, we've got anything and everything you want. If you really want to feel just sweat ooze from your pores more than you ever ask or would want, then you're going to want to go farther south, like toward the Gulf, and that'd be Houston. Houston has heat plus humidity. So I think the coolest place to be is in North Texas in the DFW Metroplex. So when I think of Texas, with it being so huge, I try to think about the people who are moving here, and then I try to section it off: DFW, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio.
What's the feel of everyday life in your state?
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. I think that people are really surprised at the feel once they actually move here. And that will start out with a country feel. They think we're country, but I think they're trying to equate that with our Southern charm. And one thing I always say is we're not the good old South. We're the Southwest, if you look at the map. So we're not like the South. So we have a lot of great culture here, and it just depends on where you choose to go. But we will sip tea, maybe some julep tea, which has a little extra in it. But we're going to be on that front porch. We don't mind sipping our tea and having a good old time. But so I think that's one thing. People are really surprised at the level of sophistication we offer, the level of culture, because they just don't know much about Texas. And I will give them this. Texas is like a whole nother world. I mean, you need a passport to come here.
Well, I think we can speak more to Western Washington because we live in Western Washington and have for a really long time. And I would characterize like everyday life is a little bit more laid back in Washington. When you're up in kind of Seattle, which everybody thinks of when they think of Washington is Seattle. Yes, you have more urban, more hustle and bustle. But as soon as you kind of get out of that Seattle area, it's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chill.
It's an outdoorsy state because you've got the mountains, you've got the snow, you've got the water, you've got everything right there at your fingertips. So being outdoors is a huge part of life here in Washington.
For sure.
In Western Washington, I should say. Mm-hmm. It's a huge thing.
In our communities, most of our communities, especially if they're 20 years or younger, especially, we have miles of paths and trails and hiking and all of that. That's just part of what builders and the developers put in. But if you really want something batty, go to Austin, Texas. That's where their logo is Keep Austin Weird. And if you go to Congress Bridge, somebody from Texas better back me up on this. If you go to Congress Bridge at dusk, whatever time dusk is, you will see thousands of bats converging underneath the bridge. So people come out on their boats. It's like they stop their lives to watch these bats go batty. Mount Benel, you get the huge mountains, you get the crystal clear water. So if nature is your love language, then you definitely want to go to Austin. And, we're close to the Gulf of Mexico. So if you want to enjoy that, you can certainly do that. We celebrate our Mexican heritage because Texas was a part of Mexico. However, might as well do this disclaimer. We don't have any ski slopes for you. Then we just hop in the car, do like everybody else, drive to our bordering state of Colorado or New Mexico, and you can just have all the fun you want. But when you come back to reality, Come back over to Texas and enjoy your life.
I have to say on that bridge, I saw that bridge on like the Nature Channel. It was History Channel, one of those, I like those shows. And they were showing how people would gather there to watch all the bats fly from under the bridge. When you brought it up, I'm like, oh, I never heard of that place. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
I just saw somebody in the chat ask, will you see a lot of horses and Cowboys in Texas, not the football team? But excuse you, is there any other type? Go boys, we the boys. So that's a really valid question. You will, now first of all, automobiles is our primary mode of transportation. Okay, we work in a horse, but there are plenty of people with horses, so you're going to see horses almost anywhere. So we're not overly surprised when we see them. Fort Worth is considered where our Western heritage is, and that's where you'll see real life cowboys on real life horses driving real life cattle down the street, longhorn steers. So the horse, you know plenty of people with horses because plenty of people have ranches and a number of things here. So a horse is a real thing here.
What do you usually tell folks who are moving to Texas from out of state when it comes to weather?
You will have winter for probably around 6 weeks. Again, it depends on where you are in Texas, but it's very short-lived. You're going to mostly experience what feels like spring and summer year-round. You can go all the way to Christmas and still be wearing your shorts and flip-flop and not think twice about it. But it's going to turn, and it really turns a little bit after the new year. February is one of our coldest months. And then, it just warms up and keeps warming up and keeps warming up from there. But if we get ice or snow, everything is shut down. We're going to run to the grocery store and get all the toilet paper ever created and stock. I don't know why toilet paper is a savior to some people, but they're going to get the toilet paper and, little things. Just to survive, a couple of days.
The weather affects our clothing choices big time. Like you always have to wear layers. Like in Western Washington, that's the biggest thing that I would ever advise when you get here is learn how to layer up, because in the morning it might be chilly, but by the afternoon it's sunny and hot. Or it might be sunny in the morning and you think, oh, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be beautiful. And then it's going to rain in the afternoon.
In the summer, everyone's getting out because we don't generally hit those triple digits. So it's very comfortable outside. We generally, I think this year alone, we may have broke 90 maybe once or twice.
3 times,
but not very
often.
much. We're usually, our summers are very mild. What are some of the social norms and out there in Texas?
Oh, bless your heart. Let's see. Now, I
know that.
You already know that. So if someone tells you,
I know that
bless
one.
your heart, God bless, they're not praying for you. They are talking about you. There is something to
I know. That's all like,
honey, let's just pray. Then they really do want to pray with you. They're legitimate. They're not being sarcastic. So I think that's our level of politeness is really a surprise for so many people, because I believe as a society, people are so guarded that they're thrown off guard when you just show your heart. When you're just saying, hey, I'm a person, you're a person, you had a rough day, I had a rough day, but I'm not going to make your day worse. I'm going to say, hey, how you doing?
Social norms.
Yeah, I think as you were speaking, Tracy, I was reflecting on the experience here, and Seattle freeze is real. And when you do see people in Seattle and you make eye contact, they either they won't look at you or they kind of glance and look away awkwardly. And in the grocery stores, people don't like. They
don't talk to each other.
No.
There's no hi.
It was really weird when I first moved to Seattle. I would play a game and I would stare at everybody as I was walking down the street and smile and try to see how many people would actually smile back at least or say hi. And then I got over it. Now, when you get outside of the Seattle area and you get out to the suburbs, one of the things I noticed when we moved to where we're at now, because we live about 25-minute drive out of Seattle now, is that the first week we were here, our neighbors brought us cookies. So the Seattle freeze does not extend to all of Western Washington. we always tell people right away, like one of the first things you need to do as soon as you get settled is find those meetups.
Find your community.
Yeah. Go
Find your community, whether it's church, whatever it may is, find your community. Because once you find that community, then it becomes a little bit different.
So one of the big things we hear, and one of the big reasons why people want to move from Washington to Texas is because you can get way more house for your money.
It is a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. It has a little more than 2,600 square feet. It's got, we all expect in our homes, for the most part, we're going to expect an office, media room, game room, open loft, nice patio.
Up in the upper left-hand corner, that's a $1 million home in one of Seattle's highly sought after neighborhoods, which is Green Lake area. It's a beautiful home. It's been really well maintained over the years, but as you can see, you're not getting a lot of land, right? There's not, you're right next to your neighbors. And it's about 2,000 square feet.
Not a lot of backyard, nothing like that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Green Lake area is beautiful.
Oh yeah, it is.
There's a whole lake you get to walk around, and there's activities around there. There's cafes, restaurants. Like, it's a really, really cool area to live in. So I can see why people would want to live there. And so then in the lower right-hand corner, that's $1 million in Olympia. This house has a whole basketball court, which I thought was really cool. And it's on a good sized piece of property. It's more like 3,000 square feet. I think it's 3,500. And it's a big, beautiful home on, a good sized piece of land.
Right.
So then we looked at some houses at the $1 million mark.
Oh, Tracy, I really want to know this one.
Okay, all right. Well, one thing I will say that our architecture here, it's you typically get a brick home, or you can have a stucco home. You can have composition roofs, or you can have metal roof. You can have tile roof. It depends on the HOA. But so this home, and I'm just throwing that out there because there could be a difference in because when I lived in Northern Virginia, you mostly saw siding, and that was just the style of the home. So it's a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath. It also is a little bit more than an acre. It's coming in at about 4,300 square feet. And of course, with all the extra, this one, I believe it's a 3-car garage. They have a swimming pool. And it was built, just to put things in perspective. I know it looks nice, new and sexy, which it is, but it was built in 1999. So.
Oh, really?
I thought it was a brand new construction.
Yeah. So we were talking about what kind of home you can buy. We've also talked a little bit about jobs. So let's talk a little bit about cost of living, because I know, for Washington folks who want to go down to Texas because you can get such a bigger house, does the cost of living kind of match that experience for you?
Right. I think one of the things that many people are, I don't know if shocked is the right word, but they may not calculate, is we don't have a state income tax, but we do have property tax. And some people are surprised about that. We do have ways to help you, swallow the medicine with a spoonful of sugar. So there are ways to have homestead exemption to reduce your property tax, but we definitely have property tax here. The other thing is if you have a newer home, and I am very generous with the term newer, then and if it's in a community, a developed premier planned community where you have sports complex, multiple different sporting things right there in the community. You have multiple swimming pools. You may have a little water park in your community. You are going to have a HOA, homeowners association. So so that's above the price of the home. And that number can vary quite a bit. Is your HOA just, maintaining the entry, or is your HOA robust where you having wine clubs and, we have a chef that's coming and teaching us how to bake and how to cook? That just really, really depends on the community. But so we have certain expectations, minimum expectations. in our neighborhoods. So I would say the two things that I hear people really surprised is that we have a property tax. So if you bought a $1.5 million, your property tax is a percentage. There's a whole formulation and calculation. You do that research on your own. You can just plug it in, Texas property taxes, and it will spit out what your annual property tax is. But we already know that what you claim you are and what you really do are two different things. But overall, we are a conservative state. We do have areas in our state, like for Austin, for example, that's very liberal. I went to school there, so there, it is what it is. I loved it, and I still love Austin. So for them, they are what people call, if their motto is keep Austin weird. So that's where you'll see, you're going to really see some tree huggers there. I remember we had the treaty oak. There's a huge historic tree that had become diseased or poisoned intentionally. And the city had determined that they needed to tear that down and get rid of the treaty oak. Well, you had people protesting every day. The one or two would go ahead and chain themselves to the tree. They're not moving. We've got to save this. So Austin is considered really liberal. So you can be red or you can be blue. All we care about is how you're going to treat us. But, with a lot of, there are a lot of liberal people here. But I think some people think they go to Texas, it's just going to, they really try to be polite. But what they're actually saying is they have such a warped perception of Texas that is almost skewed to think we're country bumpkins, we're behind, we have less than quality schools and education, where we have some of the strongest schools in accountability toward education, because we're such a diverse society that you have liberal people mixed in with conservative people. We don't really care about your political affiliation. What we care about in our conservative Texas is your heart.
I'd say we're the opposite in some regards. Like, we are, especially Western Washington, we are more liberal. I think in the same regard, though, we're also accepting and open to folks of all different kinds of backgrounds and ways of thinking, political, affiliation, whatever. Eco-consciousness in this area is massive. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's I've noticed it when I go outside of Washington. I'm like, wait, you don't have recycling everywhere? You don't have this or whatever. It's just, there's a lot of that here.
There's a big eco-conscious infrastructure for that here in Washington. Yeah. And I think, like you said, it's very liberal, and that's very interesting because the state, that's, you say, Texas, most of Texas is fairly conservative, whereas in Washington, it's split in half. So you go to Eastern Washington, you have more of your conservative. If you go to Western Washington, you have more, liberal side on this side. But what I find is that's amazing or great about here is everyone's very accepting of everyone. Yeah. No matter where you're from or your political views, most people or religious background, people here are very accepting of who you are. I think it still comes down to it too. And the last thing is, it's more of what's your heart.
So we've got William and Brandy here from Western Washington.
With the WB Nobles Real Estate Team, powered by Mountain View Realty Group, and Tracy Sorrell over here in the DFW Live. Love your videos and I love your channel. I watch a lot of stuff of yours. I love it.
Well, good deal. Well, that's what I'm here for, is to just serve people, let them know more about our different markets. So when they make a decision, they make the right one. First and foremost is to call me. And then I'll help you navigate to our different cities, communities, and suburbs. Hi, I'm Tracy Sorrell with the DFW Life, and I help people like you relocate to our great state of Texas. And I realize that this is a pretty significant move. And if you are thinking about relocating to our DFW Metroplex, maybe Houston, San Antonio, also one of our many other fantastic areas, then I have other videos that can kind of help you get a better understanding of what it's like to live in different regions. If you are thinking about moving to our DFW Metroplex or any other area in Texas, comment below. Grab one of those one-on-one consultation links. Let's hop on a call so we can better discover which area, which city, community, and suburb is the best place for you to create your new memories and call home.